Well, just setting off up the trail, as you can see. Fair bit of snow. And my first customer already. Look at that. Right, let's get that one moved off the trail. That shouldn't take too long. Well, that one's pretty straightforward. Done and dusted. I suspect there'll be a whole bunch more of those. Usually is on this trail. There we go. I noticed we got some footprints up in here. So my guess is there's some people camping up here. See? I don't know exactly where they'll be. There's only one or two places up here they can actually go. So. Right. This is one of the areas that I have seen many bears on. So, not a bad idea to make a bit of noise. So this is how they reclaim the logging roads. That was a road recently. Now it is back to hillside. And will very quickly grow back in. As you can see, still a fair amount of snow here. So we have two people walking this way. Let's see what I can find when I get over up the top. Right. What a glorious day. Look at that. Right, I'll do some more in a bit. Well, this is my third tree already. And I've got maybe 0.3 of a kilometre up the trail. And this one I'm going to have to watch. It's kind of bowing downwards. Okay, this one might take a little bit longer, but that's okay. If I cut that, yes, this one might be interesting. Okay, well, let's start cutting and get rid of what I can. Perfect, that's that one out. This was a prime example as to why you never stand on a downward slope below a tree, because as soon as I cut that one free, it rolled straight down. So I'll just kick it off the side there a bit. At least this was good fresh wood. It's a good sized tree. But, better not forget my hat. I have my gloves in there as well. It's still a bit frosty. It's supposed to warm up later. I think I can probably put my gloves away now. But yeah, that was a good sized tree. This literally, I haven't done next to nothing on this trail yet, and that is my third tree already. Luckily one of them I could just pick up, cut a few bits off and smear. I think I'll keep my saw out. I brought my big saw with me today. Just as well, my little 2000 will take care of those trees. However, the big one is much better. This is one of those silky 500s, but I have the 2000 with me as well. I keep looking around because I'm looking for bear track, because this is a route that I use quite a lot. As you can see, still a bit snowy in here. Looking at the mountains on the way in, looks like we got a fair bit of extra snow. Oh look. See, this is why I didn't put this saw away. See, there's the next one. This trail's usually like this time of the year. Right. Oh, that's got two branches. See, that's got a split under it. See? So I've got to cut two trees out of this one. Two for the price of one. Actually, if I just cut those, clear some of the branches off, cut those, I might be able to just drag that round. That would be better than having to cut it up. Just cut it through and then drag it down. Right, let me put this camera away and get this one cleared out. Well, that one was a bit of a pain actually, because it was sprung downwards. I had to cut both pieces twice. So the tops I could drag around, and my plan was to drag the whole tree around, but some of it was still frozen into the ground there. So I had to cut it up into smaller bits. Just dump them on the side. If you leave the branches on like that, the logs can't roll downhill. They don't tend to roll too much. You always got to be careful if you cut something always make sure you know where it's going to go. Like I said before, never stand on the downhill side of whatever you're cutting, ever. For no reason do you ever stand that side, because if it lets go, you end up wearing the tree. Never a good plan. Right, as you can see, the snow is still fairly deep. Now, let's just bring my bear spray in that background. I just moved all that. Makes it easier to cut. I don't take this belt off when I'm cutting because I have all my bear sprays and stuff on it. Like I say, right through here you have to be a little bit cautious, especially this time of the year, because I'm not used to seeing too many people. This trail doesn't get a huge amount of traffic anyway, but there is a turn off on this trail a bit further up here that I guarantee you, if you go up there, you're going to see bear activity. Guarantee it. One, two, actually we have 3 sets of tracks here. I know exactly where they're going. It's May long weekend, so a lot of people like to come out camping. And the only problem with May long is you can go to bed in blazing sunshine and wake up in the morning covered in snow like this. Oh, someone just ran across a trail in front of me up there. Maybe it was a deer. Apologies for this continuous coughing and what have you. Excuse me. Having trouble clearing out this bloody bug. But, my doctor tells me I have pneumonia, so I should be taking it easy. So I'm only cutting smaller trees today. That's my way of taking it easy. Right, this here. Ooh, interesting. I hope they didn't go down there camping. Now that's very interesting, because those footprints that I was following head down there. I wonder if they, well, if they went down there, there's only one place you can camp down there. That you have to be a kilometre off the road, so there is only one place you can actually camp down that way. And this time of the year, that's not somewhere I would actually camp. I fully expected them to be up this way. I don't see any tracks coming back onto the trail. Okay. I don't think that was very smart. However, I know where they've gone. It's a bit bloody wet down in there, even this time of the year. Yeah. You have a large deer or something. See this? Normally, like May long weekend, I can remember coming up here one May long weekend and having trouble getting across this bit because there was so much water flowing through here. Yeah. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Right. I'm going to put this camera away for a bit. There's the crest of a hill coming up over here, and I want to have both hands free. Yeah. Now this is exactly what I was looking for. I can't see any tracks, but this snow could well have fallen last night. But if you look up the tree, it's a little high for me to reach. So this is a fairly large bear. That there, this is where they mark the trees, see? They scratch into the trees like that, high marking. Well, that's a fair way up there. So and the wood's still yellow. And the sap is still coming out of the trunk there. So my guess is that this is this year's. But normally they do that and then take an almighty dump somewhere near it just to let other bears know, hey, you know what, this is my patch, get the hell out of here. But I don't see any tracks. But like I say, this snow could have fallen last night, so who knows? Snow long weekend, it usually does. Right. I don't see any tracks. I was stood right next to a grouse just now when I was cutting that last tree. They do that wing thumping thing, and it was really cool because I could actually hear the air in the feathers. I was that close, but it was the other side of a tree, so I thought, oh yeah, I might better get a picture, but no. In another video later in the year, I will do that turn off. That turn off's an important turn off to a particular area, but I will leave that for another day. Right, I'm going to continue on this way. Like I say, I want both hands free up through here, so yeah. I'll do some more. Prime example of knowing your limits. There's one down there on the trail. It's about 8 to 10 inches through, but it's going to be one very heavy log, so I trimmed off all the branches. It's laying parallel to the trail. This is the kind of stuff that I found in the past that gives me the most trouble. So what I'm going to do, see those two long ones, right, these two little rock ones here, and this one and that one, I'm not too worried about those, but you see those other two behind it laying down at an angle. Those are the trees that I've had the most trouble with, because you cut them and then everything goes and moves on you. So what I'm going to do is move out these little rotten ones in the bottom, and I'm going to leave those two for a minute and have a think about those. Maybe do those on the way back. Right, that's the smaller ones cleared out of the way. I'll have a think about those other two, because I have cut trees like that in the past. And that tree I'm looking at there, it goes way up that hill, and I can't see any branches on it, and I can't see the root ball. So if you cut that, it's very small wood, I could cut through that real easy, but I've cut trees like that before and the rest of the tree slides down the hill. So I think I'll just leave that one for now. I have a saying, know your limit, stay within it. If you're not comfortable cutting it, don't. Oh, and here we are, next one. There's about 8 trees already. Oh dear, looks like this is number 9. And again, when you approach a tree, it's going to sound stupid. You look at it and think, oh yeah, I'll just cut that in half. But when I look at that, see, it's actually broken right off. So as soon as if I cut this log loose, this piece going up the hill, there's nothing attaching it to anything. So you've got to be really, really careful. So I might undercut this one, let it drop, and see where it drops to. But unfortunately, I need to be the other side of it. There we go. Yeah, if I cut that one about there, yeah, I'll cut that one about there, and I'll see where the rest of the tree ends up. Right, tree number 9. That one's gone. Now, it is wedged behind that tree that's standing. It's got a reasonable amount of weight to it. That actually make really good firewood. It's rot as hell, all dried out. That's why it snapped off the way it did. But I'm not strong enough to drag it out from behind that tree stump. So I'm going to err on the side of caution, leave it where it is. You can't roll anywhere because the tree it's laying on has got lots and lots of branches on it. So I will leave that there. The other end of it is still stuck in the bush. Not going to worry about that. Right. The only thing with this trial is it doesn't get much sun. Let's just move those pouches back round. It might sound stupid, but I like to have everything. I don't need to have to look for the stuff I need, like bear spray and stuff. It's one thing I always teach people with bear spray. Close your eyes, take the bear spray out, have it ready to go in 6 seconds or less with your eyes closed so that you can't see it. You should know exactly where it is on your belt. I actually have 2 with me today. That's why I keep adjusting my belt. When I'm cutting and bending over, I move it to a different position and have to square it back up. because you should be able to do that. Bear spray out in your hand, ready to go, 6 seconds or less, and you shouldn't need to look. If you need to look, you don't know where it is. Muscle memory, or whatever you want to call it. I call it good common sense. Now, oh, thank goodness for that. Oh, actually, having said that, I see another one. A couple of years ago, through here, you have to be careful here, see that? All this is, can you hear it? There's actually holes under here with a creek running under it. So you've got to be a little bit careful. The other year I came up through here, and there was a bloody great tree, literally right across where I'm standing now. And this is it. These are little bits. And no, I did not cut this one up. Not a chance in hell am I cutting that. I could if I spent enough time, right? But that is such a dangerous sized tree. There's another big one in front of me across the park that I'm not even going to begin to touch. See, when the tree's that big, even though this saw will cut it, you break a log like that loose, that's a lot of energy. That log can do a lot of strange things, so you need to be able to cut that stuff fast. And it, unfortunately I can't, not with this saw. And just up through here, there's another big one down. This little one, it's a rotten one. I can have that off the trail. Drag that one. You can get down in there. Wait, we can rise and shine. I can see a dark lump up the trail. It's actually a root ball off a tree. That's good. It's not yoga in his buddies. Right, this is another tree that I will not cut. I will find a way around this one and hope that the Mr. Man with his chainsaw comes up. This rotten one that's on here, not going to touch that either. This is why you have to be careful. Look at the way that snapped off from that stump. Yeah? It's literally snapped like a toothpick. So there is no structure to that wood whatsoever. It's very precariously sitting on that bank. If you cut that, that has the potential to just roll away on it. And I don't want to play catch a tree with that. Please leave that alone. I always tell people, know your limit, stay within it. I can clear up a lot of, just make sure that isn't a bear. Wait, we can. No, that's definitely a tree stump. Either out, it's a very stubborn bear and it's not going to move. No, that's definitely a tree stump. See it clear now. All through here. The other year I cut out a bunch here. No, it's definitely a tree stump. Ooh, we had a bit of blowdown up in here. I cut all the branches off this one the other year. So if I come across a big tree like that, all I do is I just trim off all the branches off the side so that you can still walk through here. When I clear trail, I'm not trying to create a 6-lane highway. I'm trying to make it walkable. Ooh. Looks like we had another big one come down through here last year. Right, let me put this away for a second and I will continue on my way. Right, I've come out to where I wanted to be, and this is one of the places I thought those people might have been coming, but they didn't, which is good. As you can see, it's overwintered pretty good. A few trees down in the area, so that's fine. Now I have all my stuff with me. I have a bear spray in my pocket. Another one sitting right there. Nice, I bought my big saw today. One of the other things I like to do is out in places that I come fairly often, I hide buckets. This one is, as you can see, it's collected a bit of water over the winter and it's frozen solid. So I'm going to defrost that by the fire when I get a fire going in a minute to do some breakfast. And what I also purchased recently, one of these fold up buckets. That's got about a quarter in the bottom, I guess, because the creek's not flowing very well here at the moment. So it's a little tricky to get water in there. And I don't have a scoop bucket. I do have another one hidden I'll show you over here. But I hide buckets because they're very important, and if they get broken, I just take them out. This one I usually use as a scoop bucket to fill up my other bucket. But I bought one of those cloth ones, like a fold up ones. And the reason I did that, I'm going to defrost this one as well. The reason I did that is because having enough water to put a fire out, well, I've got 2 5-gallon buckets and a 20-litre fold up one, so I think that's probably enough, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. So I will do what I can with those. I leave them in places like this because people do come camping out in this particular spot, so that's fine. I mean, you're allowed to camp out here. I'm about 2.5 kilometres, I guess, off the road. You only have to be a kilometre off the road. This is about 2.5, something like that. So that's fine. But always make sure you've got enough water to put a fire out, because, like I say, my ultimate thing with fires is before you light a fire, know exactly how you're going to put it out. Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. So I still have some snow here as well, because this looks like very fresh snow actually. I think this fell in the last day or two. So I'm going to collect up some firewood. I have some food with me. I'm going to do some nice sausage rolls and stuff, and get back to you as soon as I got that sorted. Right. Right. Set that up there someplace, I suspect. Right. Let's get this fire going. I didn't bring a big tripod with me. I have my little one. But always make sure you have all your tools and all your gear where you can find them. Bear spray in a hurry. I have another one in my pocket just in case. So the my go-to way of lighting a fire, always exactly the same. I got some dry paper in there. I just save up old receipts from stores when you go there. Cotton ball. I build a little bed in the bottom with some small sticks, and then I've got another little pile ready to go on there. I have my water supply. Just get one to land on that cotton ball. That'd be rather nice. Make it a bit fluffier. And away we go. Always secure your gear when you're finished. So I have a pocket for everything. That lives under there. That goes back in there. As I've said in some of my other videos, if you can find a downed tree, this is all the broken bits out of the bottom of the tree. This is all still a bit wet. This is where it's split. See, all the wood split, but there's lots of fibres there. But you'll be surprised how quickly that stuff will catch. I still have some wood pile from last year, so not too worried. Now, irrespective of what kind of fire you're going to do, if you're going to do a long log fire or whatever, always make sure these are tree roots. These are very tough. However, they are also nice and dry, so that's good. So whatever kind of fire you're going to do, I always tend to start with a fire like this, and then if I'm going to do a long log fire, I build up some embers and that in the bottom. These small trees, these things, all these little branches, all the small ones, all the dead stuff that's on the bottom. If you Might sound daft, but if you're going to break those off the tree, pull them upwards, because imagine that's growing on the tree. The branch has grown with all the weight of the snow on it, so if you try to push it down, it will naturally flex that way, and it's actually harder to break. But if you lift it up, it snaps off real easy. So I'm just going to get some heat in my pile here. There's a lot of this is pretty dry. However, some of those other bits I put on there just now are not. Right, that should be enough to get her going. That'll do for there. Right, and above all, always make sure you've got a comfortable chair. I found this on the way up here. Some very kind person had cut out an enormous tree, obviously with a chainsaw, and this is the wedge that they cut out the tree. Now, I don't know what I'm going to use that for yet. I'm not going to use it as firewood. It's actually a very nice little block of wood. You can actually make a nice little table, see? Yeah, makes a nice little table, so I'm going to keep that. I found a very nice little round once that was probably about 4 inches, but it was probably 18 inches round, but it was only about 4 inches thick. It made a perfect little tabletop, and it's at one of the places I like to go. Right, now it is a little windy today. There is a bit of ground wind, not so much in the top of the trees. I can just see them going, but the sun hasn't got up yet. Once the sun gets up and gets going, then the wind will change off the mountains. So, looks like we lost a nice green tree there. There's a young one that's fallen over there. That's kind of a shame, but not a lot you can do, unfortunately. It's a forest. It's what forests do. I like to encourage the growth of the small trees if I can. I have replanted a whole bunch. That's the other thing that I'll do with these buckets. I will stick them in various locations, and I'll bring my spade, and when you see these great big clumps of trees all growing, you know most of them aren't going to survive. So what I'll do is I'll dig them out, and thin them out a bit, makes a bit of space for the other trees, lets them grow nicely, and then I just plant the other ones close to where they are. I don't move them too far away from the parent tree, but I plant them as close as I can, and then that thins them out and gives more of the trees a better chance. So, right, let me pay attention to this fire. I need to move that bucket around. I'll move my fire buckets closer to the fire. This one actually has some liquid water in the bottom, so I will put my fire buckets there. I have my bucket behind me that has liquid water in it. This has wet water in it, not frozen water. That's my, oh crap, I need to put the fire out now bucket. So I'm going to give that a go, warm these up, see if I can melt some of the ice in there. Just shows you how much snow and that falls in these buckets, because that's probably, what, half a bucket. So there's, over this winter, that bucket has collected about 10 litres of water. Gives you an idea of how much snow and rain and stuff hits the ground, eh? Yeah. Right, I will defrost all of those, get them sorted, and get back to you in a bit. Oh, my bucket of ice is defrosting faster than you can think. What I did is I took the other bucket and put some wet water in the top, and that really does speed up the thawing melt process. But this morning when I set off, it was only, I think it was -3. I believe it's supposed to go up to +10 today, so that should actually clear it out. I'm almost wishing I'd brought my tent and everything with me. There are some bugs around at the moment. It's the only trouble with this time of the year. Once the bugs start coming out, it's a good idea to have a tent. Yes, you can build a shelter, and this is a really easy spot to build a shelter in. There's plenty of material around here. I can build a very nice shelter, bring my tarps and all that kind of stuff. I do have my poncho with me, so that does actually make a very nice shelter. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Back in a former life, back in my military days, the poncho was always looked at as one of those bits of kit that you think, oh Christ, do I really need to take that with me? And you very quickly realise that not only, yes, the poncho might look stupid, however, that's the first thing that goes through your mind when you first start using them. God, these things look silly. But when you actually start using them, I would give my right arm now to have that bloody poncho that I had. Jesus Christ, you try getting hold of one of those things. You just can't get them. They are so hard to get. And they were absolutely brilliant because they had poppers on them. So you could literally just pop them together into a larger sheet. You could put 2 or 3 of them together. It's absolutely brilliant. But the one I have now, I have one in that little pouch underneath my saw there. I have one in there. It's one of those little Coleman. It's a cheap one. It's like $10. I say cheap. It's made by Coleman. It's a reasonable product. It has saved my rear end numerous times. It's very small. I can roll it up. It's much thinner than the military ones we used to have. Nowhere near as durable. However, it does the job because I can sling that thing on me, tuck it over the top of my pack. My pack stays dry. I stay dry. Very useful tool. And if I need to build a shelter, I can. I just put up a bit of cord in the tree. I always have cordage with me. And then put up some cordage, chuck my poncho over the top, and hey presto, ready to go. Yeah. I always hide these buckets at it, but I leave instructions on them just in case people can't read and they don't understand what they're there for. Yeah, it's great being out here. There is a very nice little creek just down the way there, and it's great being out places like this, and you know, people having fires and knowing they've got to put them out. But yes, there is a water source, but people always forget, how do you get the water from the creek to here? Yes, you have a water bottle with you or whatever, but you don't really want to be putting that kind of water in your drinking water bottle, because now you've got to start sterilising and cleaning things. And, you really don't want to drink the water out of the creeks, not unless you purify it. You know, that would not make for a good couple of days. No. You'd spend most of it in the bathroom, I think, or throwing up. So never ever a good idea to do that. So always clean up the water first, and you can boil it, you can get little tablets you can put in it and all kinds of good stuff. But there's many. I do have a life straw that I keep in my pack. They are a very good tool. They're supposed to filter, I think it's a cubic meter, it's like 1,000 litres of water, but it's another one of those things, you know, you're relying on it to do its job, but how do you know it's doing its job? I can tell you now, if you get a pot on there and you boil the crap out of the water that's in there for a good like 10-15 minutes, so it's just bubbling like crazy, trust me, there ain't much living in that water. Let that cool, cover it up, make sure no bugs get in it, let it cool down. Yeah, you can drink that. I've done that many times. I'm not too worried about that, but there's some nasty stuff in some of the creeks. There's a lot of beavers and that up through here, deer, bears, wolves, coyotes, whatever, all kinds of wildlife. That never a bad idea to make sure you clean your water up. But you've got to get the water out of the creek and up onto your fire, which, I mean, the creek's only just down the bottom there. It's literally 100 feet, not even, yeah, maybe 100. But you've got to get it here somehow. So I am trying my new foldy up one, which is that black one there. I've only got a little bit of water in there because the creek is not really deep enough to put the bucket right under. Once that creek starts flowing decent, yeah, you can. That water's about a foot deep, so it's plenty deep enough. I've just put my big saw away and got my little saw out. That's just way easier. I'm back to whittling sticks. Yeah. This little knife, I've had this thing for a long time. It's made by Gerber. It's a good little knife. It's actually a well-designed knife. It has somebody's name on it who I'm not going to mention. You either love that guy or you hate that guy, but I can tell you now, he didn't get to do the job he was doing by being an idiot. That you actually got to be pretty damn good to get that job, so hats off to him for that. It wasn't his fault that he really got injured, but when people make all these bushcraft videos and all that kind of stuff, when you've got a 20-man crew with you and you're doing what I call crazy stuff, you're like jumping off of rocks into trees to get down a slope or whatever, you know, that's just something that you would never ever do in a real world situation. If your life depended on it, and it would have to be a life and death situation, you might do it. However, to put stuff like that in videos and that, I don't know, it's I know why they do it, I just don't agree with it. I would rather have just good, honest advice on how to do this stuff, which is what I try to do in my videos. I don't normally have the bucket sat right next to the fire like that, but I am actually trying to defrost it. You wouldn't believe it, but the side of that bucket is actually quite warm. So that's rather nice.
some precision firewood installation going on here. I want to get some heat over the top of that log that's there. I'll get some heat over the top of it. It should be good. Ouch, that bit was hot. Yeah. Oh well. As long as you don't grab hold of it and hold it for too long, you don't get much heat transfer, so it doesn't matter. You're not going to burn yourself as long as you do it quick. Right, what a glorious day. Look at this. If that is not a glorious day, I don't know what is. Look at that. That is just absolutely magic. I don't know whether that will come out very well on the video, but we shall try it and see. This camera has image stabilization on it and horizon stabilization and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's a very good camera, I have to admit. I'm very, very pleased with this. This is a GoPro 10. I used to have my little pocket camera, my little Fuji, which was a great little camera, fantastic for pictures, but the batteries used to just eat through batteries like it was insane. I mean, I have 3 batteries for this camera, and I can film all day on 1 battery basically. But my good camera gear, you know, you're talking $5,000–6,000 worth of gear in a backpack, lugging it out through the woods and bouncing around the trees. That's it's not good for it, to say the least. Yeah, they're not as robust as these GoPros. So I bit the bullet and bought one. Read many reviews, and I have to say I absolutely love this thing. It's brilliant. Yeah. And no, I'm not paid by GoPro to say that. It is actually a very, very good camera. I'm very pleased with it. Right, I am doing a lot of looking around while I'm making this video, because this is prime bear country, and this particular corridor up through here is an early morning bear walk. So that's why I was surprised those people down the trail actually headed up the trail that they did, because it's a dead-end trail. It comes up against the bottom of a very large mountain range, so you can only go in and out pretty much one way unless you're going to bushwhack over the mountain. And that's never a good plan, because it's quite rough in there. But I know where they were heading, and if they got up in there, then they'd be pretty good. But Christ, that can be wet. Yeah. It's a good place to go. It's a good off the beaten track for like a weekend camping trip. It's perfect, because I'm pretty much guarantee you're not going to bump into anybody else up there. It's obviously somebody who knows the area well, so I'm not too worried. And there's 3 of them. There's 3 people there, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah. I'll check on it on the way back, see if there's any tracks on the way out. Yeah. It's always good to know where people are in the mountains, because if you suddenly hear somebody blowing a whistle or whatever, you know, because they're in trouble. Yeah, I can bushwhack. This mountain that's here to my left, if I suddenly heard somebody in trouble blowing a whistle or whatever, I can go straight over the top of that mountain, down the other side, and I'm then in the valley that they are in. So it's it's a bit of a trek. However, it can be done, and it's not actually that hard. So it's always a good idea to know where other people are, because just in case they get into trouble, they might need help. Right, I'll do some more in a moment. Oh, that's coming along quite nicely. My bucket of water is thawing out faster than you might think. I actually had some steam coming off it just now. I had to just move it around, turn the plastic around. It won't damage the plastic because it's full of ice water, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Just going to talk a little bit more about this knife. I know a lot of people don't like the particular chap associated with this one, but he's quite a skilled guy. But this knife itself is made by Gerber. It's very good. It has a little whistle on the bottom. I did have to extend it, because I like to have this cord was originally through the hole. I like to have it so that I can actually put it around my wrist, so that if I'm out somewhere and I drop it, I do not want to lose my knife. Yeah. It's a very well designed knife, I'll give it that. But Gerber make a fantastic product, they really do. And this thing actually holds, that's got a good edge on it. You wouldn't want to push too sharp on there, I tell you. It's got a nice finger choil there, so you can do close work with it as well if you need to do close work. It's actually very good. I've used this thing from everything from preparing food to splitting logs. I have beaten the living crap out of this knife, literally beaten the hell out of it. it's other than it looks a bit worn now, it's as good as the day I got it. The fire steel that I have, the striker that comes with it, it's a good striker, but it doesn't chuck off fantastic sparks. But I can tell you, this little ground piece on the back here, oh, this thing will shower sparks like you wouldn't believe. It's a very strong knife. A lot of people don't like it purely because of the name on it. Just covered it up. There we go. Oh dear. Actually, all joking aside, he's actually very good at what he does. Has to be. You don't get selected to do that job by being an idiot, I can tell you. Yeah, there are many people that apply for that job but just don't have what it takes, and it's a very difficult job to get into. However, in terms of usability, if you want a general everyday knife, this thing actually works very well. But I have to say, my all-out favourite knives are the Moras. I don't know how many Moras I've got lots. Yeah. And I think anybody that uses a Mora will use one. I've got the bushcraft one, I've got the orange one, because I did have a very nice green handled one many years ago, and I lost that, unfortunately. And I searched and searched. I could not find that thing. I know it was there, I just couldn't see the blooming thing. So I bought the orange bushcraft one, really nice thick steel one. I have the light my fire ones, I've got the little carving-y ones, I got all kinds of those little knives. And the other knife that I really like to have with me for food prep, let me just turn that bucket around. Just that's warming up ever so nicely, that bucket. Let me just turn that around. It's defrost that, ready for when I leave. I can just dump all of that on there. The little opinals I have had since I was about 8 years old. I've always had one of those opinal number 8s. I have lost several. Yeah, I always have one. There's one in my lunch pack for work. When I have oranges and stuff for work, I use it for food prep. It is such an amazing little knife. They really are. And it's like I say, I've been using those since I was 8, which was some 50 odd years ago. So they haven't changed the design of them. They're still exactly the blooming same, and they are still an amazing knife. Yeah. There are certain tools that you buy that are just absolutely brilliant, and they're the pinnacle of their design. It's like a bicycle, you know, two wheels, saddle. It's very hard to beat that design. You can improve materials, you can change the weight dynamics of it, you can change the braking systems on it or whatever, but the basic fundamental design of a bicycle is at the pinnacle of its design. It can't get much better than that. It's just not possible. So and it's the same as certain tools. Like I'm a real fan of silky saws. I used to do all this stuff with bow saws and foldy up bow saws and all kinds of stuff, and there are some people that really do like those. Personally, once you use a silky, you're not going back. I have the big one there that I use for the bigger trees, and the 2000 I think is actually the best one. I think it's absolutely fantastic. My water bucket doesn't seem to be leaking, so hats off to that. I saw this one online. Who makes this? I don't know. 20-litre folding bucket is all it says on it. I don't think it's got a name on it. Right. It's actually pretty strong, and I'm just giving that a try. Like I say, I've got probably, because the creek's not deep enough at the moment, there's probably, I don't know, a quarter in the bottom there. So there's probably 5 litres in there, I guess. But it's hard to fill that up because of the depth of the creek at the moment. The creek's not really flowing that fast. Get some decent sun on this snow, it will. Yeah. Let's move some of those across. There we go. You see a lot of people stamping on logs and cutting them all up and what have you. You've got a fire going like this, especially if you're burning tree roots. Tree roots actually burn very well. I mean, they're extremely strong. Don't try and break those things with your hand, because you can end up breaking your hand. You won't break the tree root. But they actually burn very well. But I just burn them in half, you know. It's not difficult to do. That one split log that I got in there, that's one that I had from last year. It is actually pretty darn wet, so I'm not expecting any miracles out of that log. But listen to the birds in that, eh? Every now and again I'm just chucking a little bit of wet wood on here, because there are mosquitoes and bugs around, and they really hate smoke. They don't like it. They really do not like that stuff. So what I do is every now and again, if I see bugs around, I just chuck a handful of little wet bits on there and creates a bit of smoke, and hey presto, no bugs. You can see it's still a fair bit of snow in the forest, but the sun is amazing. Once that sun gets above me, it's going to be actually really, really nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, listen to that. I don't know what those birds are. But they literally do that all day. It never stops. I don't know what they are. I should look it up and see if I can figure it out. Right, I'm going to sit down on my very nice trusty log. That log was a real pain to get up here actually. I had to drag that out of a pile. That thing is really heavy. Yes, I know the bucket says isopropyl alcohol. That's not what's in it. That wouldn't be very good for putting out a fire. Don't throw that stuff on a fire. It's not going to work out so good. Yeah. Right. I should really get a bit more flame in this fire, and once I get a nice bed of coals in there, I can cook up my sausage roll and get them nice and hot. Right. Off I go for a bit. Right. I say, out here in the Alberta forest, we do have some very, very special trees. They don't like to be out in the sunshine too much. It's a bit sunny out there for them, but I think if I sneak up on them really quietly, these particular trees here, see, they're getting a bit of sunshine. They don't like too much sun, and it's only the young trees that actually do this. So if you look, if I reach around behind this tree, see, this is what's called a sausage roll tree. And if you're very good, this is a very special sausage roll tree, because this one actually has ketchup on it already. Wow, that was really handy. Yeah. There's also hot dog trees out here, but I didn't bring any hot dogs today. And the hot dog trees, they're even shyer than the sausage roll trees. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy my freshly picked, with ketchup, sausage roll. Now I was going to heat it up in the fire. I can't find any nice green twigs at the moment, so I will just have to have it as is. I can tell you now, that is a very nice sausage roll. It's at this point that I'm remembering that I didn't bring my tea. That doesn't really matter. I've got plenty of water. I was going to bring tea, but I will have a sausage roll moment instead. Let that fire die down a bit. Actually, I've got a lot of nice hot coals in there. I was going to do the heat it up, but I've had to look around. I can't find any nice green twigs, and the ones I can are on fresh bushes that I really don't want to cut any pieces off. Right, so that'll do for the moment. Well, the day is moving on and the wind is starting to get up, so it's a good time to let this fire die right down. I'll let it die right down, so it's supposed to get rid of as much of that material in there as possible. Just turn it all into ash, and I'm going to soak the living hell out of it, and then stir it all up, soak it again. Yeah, wind's beginning to get up, so you can do that around here. There's a little bit of cloud starting to form, but not much. A little bit of cloud over the trees that way, but sun's starting to come round. Yeah. It's probably mid-morning, midday, sun will be about there, and so on. Some of this snow's actually started to recede. I can see it's changed since I got here. Yeah. Right, let's let that die right down, and then I can soak it right down. Right, so that's how you want to leave a campfire. It's literally stone cold. The rocks around there still have a little bit of heat in them. We'll just put some water on there, see how hot they are. I'm not going to leave here for about the next half hour anyway. I've got about another 10 litres of water to dump on there before I go. But that's how you want to leave a campfire. See, it's all washed down, soaked, stirred up. I've walked all over it, kicked it all up, piled it up, flattened it out, washed it down again, soaked it up. You'd be surprised how the embers can live in the ground. Also in the rocks, in amongst all the stones on there. So I have poured water all the way along those rocks. Some people like to pile the rocks in on top of the fire, which is a great idea. But if it's soaked down and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to have any problems with it anyway. But that is literally just a mush now, which is exactly how it should be. There's no steam coming off anything other than the rocks are a little warm still. You'd be amazed how long those rocks actually hold the heat. Yeah, that's why it's a good idea when you're camping. If you've got if you've built a raised bed or whatever, you can just heat up some rocks and stick them underneath there, and that'll radiate some heat for a very long time. You've got to be careful though, because it'll radiate a lot of heat. Yeah, right. So that is my site for today. Oh. That way so I'm not in the sunshine. There we go. Just packed up all my gear. My water bucket thing I actually quite like. I've got it attached to the outside of my saw with some Velcro. Got some of that double-sided Velcro. Just stuck that on there. I will pack up all that stuff in a mo and then head on out. There's a few more trees on the trail down. I think I might clear out a couple more of those on the way down. There's some very big ones on that trail. I'm not going to touch those. Yeah, what a glorious day, eh? Yeah. Almost wish I'd brought my camping gear with me now. God, dear. Oh well. Maybe next time. Right. All cleared up. Just got to put all my gear away and then get all my stuff back on and get out of here. Right, that's that all cleared up, all soaked down. I'll give it about another 20 minutes, half an hour. I'll put some more water on it. I've hidden my buckets and that back up. I've got my flexible bucket with me. I actually like that. That's going to be handy for when I'm out in places that I don't have a solid bucket. That thing holds 20 litres of water, allegedly, so realistically probably about 15. And then that just gives you enough to soak everything down and make sure everything's good. Right, I need to head out of here. Unfortunately, I have to go that way. So I will put this away for a bit until I get over all these logs and sticks and stuff. Well, heading back down the trail, cleared out a few of the smaller ones I left on the way up there. So, just watching these butterflies. Yeah, God, they move so fast. It's amazing for something so small and so delicate. Their ability to move through the trees and it's absolutely stunning. Here's another one. They're so well camouflaged you can hardly see them. Here's another one. I don't know what kind of butterflies they are, other than very nice. Couldn't tell you. Oh, listen to that sound. People quite often ask me, why do I come out places like this? Listen. There's a creek down in the bottom there. Bit of snow melt. And the wind in the trees. Bloody hard to beat that, I tell you. Right. I need to continue that way. If I remember rightly, there's a couple more small ones up here somewhere. I stopped off on the way home at a little spot I know quite well. I have crossed on this log a few times, but I won't anymore because if you look right in the middle there, there's a big crack in that log. Yeah, I don't think that'd be very good. I have crossed on there a few times. Good place to stop and have a little bite to eat. Have a seat. Enjoy that. Isn't that nice? I'll take that. brakes over. Listen to that for a second. Now if that doesn't make for a good day, I don't know what does. That is really cool. How odd's that? Right, that'll do for now.